Dude, what's going on, everybody? Subaru 2.2 liter. This is in my Impreza. It's a phase 1 engine. And yeah, I'm going to tell you guys how to do the intake manifold today. So I believe it's the same in the Legacy. This is my Impreza LX. So obviously I powder coated this one. The last time we had the engine out, I had some bottom end issues. So we just put a long block in and transferred everything over. So thank you for that, Dan Ritter. He's the one who supplied the engine for me in a car that just could not stand the road anymore. Anyway, I did the Grimspeed spacers, and when you do that, you have to extend your EGR, and they said to use a heater hose. So that one's leaking, obviously, but I'm gonna have to redo that. I gotta redo the entire hose, honestly, like the metal part and all that, because that is stripped going into the manifold. So unfortunately that means I need to run a thread chaser down there and make sure everything's good, and then get a whole new the whole new EGR pipe. Anyway, so yeah, first thing you're going to want to do for this, and I'll show you the spacers real quick. And there they are, and they work pretty good as far as keeping the manifold cold, but I don't know if they're worth the extra efforts and then the risk of stripping your EGR tube. Anyway, so you're gonna take your battery off for all that fun safety stuff. Basically, you have a 10 to 15 millimeters sockets. I would just have every one of them just in case. I don't think you need all of them, but those are the kind of the ones I set aside for doing this. You're gonna get your plate off here, undo your alternator first because it's got the tension on the belt. You get your belt off, and then I would do the 3 bolts in the front for the power steering pump. This is the factory 95 steering pump. I just have the RS reservoir on it because the old 95 one was leaking. That's kind of why this is up, for 2 reasons: for this reservoir and because the spacers. So just a heads up, that's why mine looks a little different. Then you're going to want to take, after you get those off, you can start to get the air conditioner off if your lines have been vac down, and you're able to vent the system without any issues, without anything coming off. You're going to take your intake off. I wish I still had my box, but you know, we'll deal with that another day. So yeah, you're going to, after that's all done, you're basically going to have just this is all gone, your intake tube is all gone, and that's going to give you a lot of room to work around all of this stuff. So the very next thing I would do is remove your throttle plate. So I would take the cable off. Once that cable is out of the way, and lay it over, along with all your wiring. Like, all this wiring has to come off, so very easy to do when you're removing your alternator. Just kind of lay this stuff aside. Your battery's already going to be disconnected. The same thing with your power steering. After you get that pump off, I would just lay this to the side. I wouldn't even break any of these seals, just kind of move them out of the way. There's hose down there, so it's going to be able to flex a little bit. You might even be able to just unbolt it from here too. So just choose wisely with what you're doing. So I would do it that way. After you're done with that, oh, I'm sorry, I'm on the other side here. After you're done with that, remember, we got a lot of sensors underneath here as well. So you have your idle air control valve, which is actually going to be bolted to the manifold, and has a gasket underneath it too. I usually just leave that on there and just take the whole thing out with it. Just remove this tube here. Remove all these tubes as well. These vacuum lines, because you're going to want to make sure they're out of the way. And then obviously unplug any sensors. I do my spark plug wires as well. I just take them off, and then we'll just deal with them later. They actually kind of leave them in there, so if I take these off, these stay sealed up and it's no big deal. So yeah, so there's a couple of vacuum lines underneath here, and there's some sensors bolted to the bottom of this intake manifold. So you're going to want to make sure that you know the correct routing of this. There's this kind of tees and goes up. There's another one that tees down there and it goes to one to each sensor. So if that gives you a little bit of an idea I'm hoping that's helpful. And obviously you're going to want to remember like the routing and stuff for this. I left mine all together. I didn't take it apart at all when I did mine, so the routing was pretty easy. But definitely like take you some pictures, like take a bunch of pictures. You're also gonna have your brake booster vacuum line that goes into the back here. So undo your EGR tube and then just kind of leave it in the head there, and that should get you at least out. And then go ahead, after that is all done, as long as you undo all of your fuel rail stuff. So this is your fuel rail, it kind of tucks underneath there, coming off your fuel filter. You're gonna go ahead and there's your fuel rail there. You're just gonna undo all these. I need to get the proper lines here again, but just a heads up, you're gonna undo all those lines. And then in the 95s, the fuel canister is in the front of the car, so you're gonna undo that as well, because this is the other side of that hard rail. And then the hard rail, as long as you got everything disconnected with your fuel rail, you should be able to lift straight up and out. And then again, just remember everything, bag everything, tag everything nice and neat, and take lots of pictures, and you should be in good shape. Yeah, so if you have any other questions, please let me know. This job seems like a big deal. Seems like it'll take a whole lot of time. It really wasn't too bad the first time I did it. Just kind of going through it, but I figured I would make a video in case somebody had some questions. It's definitely time consuming, but it's not very difficult. So just to let you know, definitely get all of the gaskets that you can. If you're gonna do it, definitely get your throttle gasket up here. If you're doing the plenum spacer, I would do 2 sets of gaskets on that. And then for this idle air control valve, this is very important. There's a gasket there. The factory gasket did not work well for me. The car had a lot of idling issues. When I took it up to Subaru, they said that they found a leak there. Even though the gasket was brand new, they went ahead and they actually made a gasket on site at Winter Subaru. So, and that fixed the idling issues, because that's where the leak was. We were definitely having a loss of vacuum or something there just where that gasket is. So yeah, anyway, those are the things that I did to get the manifold off, and hoping that this is helpful to someone. If you want to powder coat yours, or if you're having some issues and want to just kind of refresh everything. Or the other thing is, if your coolant crossover pipe is leaking, you're going to have to do this. So anyway, yeah, I hope this is helpful for you. And if you have any questions, please let me know. I can certainly help you the best I can. So take care, everybody, and have a great day. Like, comment, subscribe.